Please note that all of the attendees are muted, but you do have the ability to post questions in the chat room, and we do have people monitoring that. So if something happens in the middle of the presentation where the sound goes out, you can't hear us anymore, there's some issues, please let us know as soon as possible. We will have a Q&A session at the end of our slides. We'll continue till we reach top of the hour, and any questions that went unanswered after that, we will answer them directly for you. So don't worry about it. Your questions will be answered, so ask as many questions as you want. A few items on the agenda itself. So I know we've advertised a very awesome giveaway. I hope that's not the only reason why you've joined, but even if it is, it's fine. We're happy that we have your attention for another 45 minutes or so. We had 2 sessions. This is our second session. The giveaways will be given away as a raffle. So at the end of each session, we will draw a raffle, and we will send an email by the end of today announcing the winners and ship you your gift. So on the agenda today, we'll start out just talking briefly about the hyperconvergence, the technology, and the market. I do have to tell you that we have a variety of listeners today. And if you know nothing about hyperconverged, you will be a pro by the end of this conversation. I promise you that. And if you're sick of hearing about hyperconverged, well, then you will learn exactly how Lenovo Maxta and Phoenix can help you make a lot more margin and revenue as a channel, and as an end user, help you increase your data center performance and efficiency. We have a couple of use cases that we're going to look into, and then we're going to wrap up with the actual program that the 3 of us put together just for our channel partners. And like I mentioned, the Q&A session at the end. So what we did put together for you is something that will help you recognize the new era of the software-defined infrastructure data center, right? And this is a data center of today. Not a data center of tomorrow or 5 years from now. This is happening today. The old manual, static, hardware-defined data center that was built mainly to process transactions is not applicable to today's demand. And in today's data center, the changes that you're seeing is the requirement is more about providing services instead of just processing transactions. So a much more interactive, automated, and dynamic data center is required, and the users are getting a lot more demanding. In the infrastructure. They want things to be better, faster, and obviously at a much lower cost. And when you are in business of providing services, you have to act different. You can't continue to stay with the same infrastructure as you've survived with before. And I hope you're seeing this from your customers, and if you're not, it's something that you should look into deeper. The challenges with them right now is from the time an IT organization or an IT guy, it really depends on who you sell to, and this is applicable for everything from large enterprise to SMEs, from the time an idea for a new use case or a new requirement comes in, whether it's a need to add more users within your virtualization space, maybe a need to increase performance for each user, or maybe to set up a whole different infrastructure, to the time that is executed before or even now in a data center that's not optimized for today's demand, that could take up to months because of all the complexities that are built in from requirements to execution. Now, what is required from our demanding users today is minutes, maybe even seconds. How fast can you help me spin up new VMs? We see that a lot within the service provider space as well, and I'll cover that later, as well as really any type of a customer who puts a lot of emphasis on the speed and the performance of their virtualization environment more than anything else. That's the ideal customer for us, and we'll cover more use cases and specific customers later as well. In this particular situation, the reason why hyperconverged, you've seen hyperconverged really evolve into what it is today. In order for us to understand that, let's take a look at the what is not hyperconverged. When we say hyperconverged, what do we mean, but what we also don't mean? And we don't mean traditional storage. So let's take a look at the traditional storage environment, which you probably still see out there. In a virtualized environment, if you're running a highly virtualized infrastructure where you have your application servers, which are feeding your CPU and your memory power to your VMs, and in order for those specific VMs to also be able to take advantage of these storage resources, oftentimes you would need to have a dedicated switch going into the SAN environment and back and feeding those storage resources back to that application server. This really, the traditional environment introduces a lot of complexities, a lot of inflexibilities. The first complexity comes with how you place orders. You have to now go to oftentimes 3 different vendors, and maybe if it's the same vendor, it's still three different products that require different management skills for your networking, compute, and storage, that also require additional costs that's associated with running through different silos. First of all, there are infrastructure costs, just simply the amount of space that's required to put this thing together, as well as management costs. But you do get good performance. And you better get good performance because you just spent a lot of time and headaches trying to put it together. So this is the model that customers quickly understood, that for highly virtualized environments with the speed of things of today, this is not ideal. So then came the idea of converged environment. And these are done by third-party vendors like VCE or VNX. And what they've done is basically take those 3 different silos, take EMC and Cisco and HP, and put them on one PO. Right, put them under one umbrella. So what they've done is they made the ordering process super easy, because you just send your $1 million PO to VCE and you get in the box 3 different technologies. However, they didn't actually solve anything technically, because the same issues you have with the traditional storage, you still have with the converged storage. So the management is complex, the costs are high, and okay, yeah, your performance is still high, but again, you're paying so much more for that performance. So what started happening about 5 years ago is the idea of hyperconverged, or the era of hyperconverged. And in the world of hyperconverged, what guys like Maxa, us, decided to do is create a software stack that could be applied on the application server and really move everything into the application server, avoiding the need for running a separate SAN environment, which means that it results in further cost savings, avoiding the dedicated networking switch, just so it goes back and forth between the application and the SAN, making the management of everything easy by integrating with the virtualization UI. So you don't even need to have 3 different user interfaces running. You don't need to have 3 different specialized skills running your storage, networking, and compute. Everything could be done by an IT admin. So as you continue to request additional VMs or make changes to your virtualized environment, that could be done by the virtualized admin itself. Your performance, you don't lose anything on the performance, by the way. You don't lose your features. Your enterprise storage features are still the same. You still get your dedupe and thing provisioning and replication and data integrity. All those features that live within the SAN live now within your application server that is running a converged compute and storage software like Maxa. And you just have your shared networking, something like a top-of-the-rack networking switch, to have your general communication. So the dedicated network, the need for the dedicated network also goes away. So now your data center looks like it's just full of servers. And as you need to create more clusters or add more VMs or deassemble the cluster, you just take the servers in and out of those clusters. You can scale unlimitedly, and you can have a much easier infrastructure, faster and more efficient infrastructure that you're running. So for that reason and many other reasons, the hyperconverged right now, even though it is a new concept, it is a rapidly growing market. We have a lot of estimates out there from Gartner to IDC to TRB, you will see a lot of numbers, but they're all around the same number. They all agree that it is much rapid than anybody has expected. Right now, they're estimating about $10.6 billion for U.S. only. And it's mainly because, you know, if you just Google for hyperconverged out there, you'll see all these customer quotes of why they're actually buying it. You know, to streamline their IT, to bridge the software-defined storage concept, to make sure that the gaps between the standalone and the converged infrastructures are filled. Many reasons why everybody's jumping on it, and we're actually expecting this number to continue to grow rapidly over the next couple of years. So look out for VMworld this year. That's happening at the end of this month. A lot more interesting announcements, including from Maxa and Lenovo, will be announced during that show. Another interesting research was done by Enterprise Strategy Group, and this is where they went directly into each customer and they asked the ones who bought Hyperconverged already and asked, you know, why did you buy it? What is it that you were looking for, and did you achieve it? So this is just a snippet of the report. I advise you to search for it online or contact us. We're happy to send you a copy. It's a very interesting report. But what you will notice is what they said in that report is exactly what we've been saying in all of our collateral, is the reason why somebody's switching over to Hyperconverged is mostly because of the rapid deployment, efficiency, and just ease of use. So never underestimate ease of use and speed when it comes to human behavior. Just look at, you know, what iPhone did with what we're used to. They put all the communication devices on one product, and then added camera and, you know, music, because why not? So if you're gonna compare Hyperconverged to anything out there, I would say compare us to the era of iPhone. That's exactly what we're doing within the data center. So if Hyperconverged is so amazing, clearly Maxta can't be the only one out there providing this solution. But why Maxta? You know, why us? What have we done differently than other guys out there? So the one thing from the very beginning Maxta decided to do is we decided to make the product software-centric. That means software only. That doesn't mean software-defined, but here's an appliance, and you cannot get the software separate from this appliance. That truly means here's the software, and here are your choices of your Lenovo appliances, that you can put our software on any of these Lenovo boxes and purchase them from Synnex. You can buy them as a SKU, as ready deployable SKU. You can customize the configuration however way you want it, but it is truly software-centric. Software runs separate from the hardware. What that creates is a much easier way of purchasing the product and a lot more flexibilities. You still have one person to go to, which is Synnex in this case, who will assemble the whole thing together for you. The software itself, the software stack itself, what it actually does is just converges compute and storage. It's got a proprietary file system running on it. It has a lot of other hooks into the user interfaces for VMware and for KVM, any of the KVM distributions. And like I mentioned before, it just works on your standard choice of hardware. Which results into really for your customers, what you're providing them is a way to manage VMs and not storage. So the idea of having to configure your storage and networking separate just to be able to increase the seats in your virtualization or your VDI environment, that need goes away. All you're doing right now is you're managing your virtualization environment, and the storage just is hidden behind all of that. You have one server that you look at, and that server looks familiar. It looks like your Lenovo server. You don't have to deal with these intimidating separate bezels that you've never seen before. So Maxa is not in the business of making bezels. We're truly in the business of making software, and Lenovo is truly in the business of making amazing servers. And when that thing is delivered to you and to your customer, it looks and feels exactly what you're familiar with. We're not asking you to put anything foreign in your purchasing behavior or inside your customer data center. All of your enterprise features are baked into the software stack. So like I mentioned before, you're not losing any of the storage enterprise features. And what you've done finally is you gave your customer something that is so easy to put together and so easily repeatable that hopefully that shortens the purchase cycle in order. So from the time the project is thought out of, you're not waiting years for that customer to make their purchasing behavior, because all that effort and time that they put in into making the original decision can now be easily repeatable moving forward. By putting everything onto Lenovo servers, what you have done is you avoided the additional hardware costs, the infrastructure costs, all the extra power and cooling that's required to keep those heavy fans running, as well as your management costs, all the resources that are required to run all the separate silos. So all of that now is combined on one Lenovo server and is made as simple as it could possibly get. So the way that it actually works, if we take a look quickly at the Maxta and Lenovo infrastructure itself, this is the more of a visual diagram that I'll walk you through. And again, any questions, please let me know. So the three different boxes represent three different servers that are part of the cluster. From this point, you can add as many servers to the cluster as you want. There is a shared Ethernet connected to the cluster itself. Within each server, you can run 10 gig or 1 gig. An instance of MXSP, which stands for Maxta Software Platform, is installed on every server in the cluster. From there, Maxa takes advantage of all the flash and in-memory caching that is provided within the server in order to increase performance. So we can achieve the same performance in an all-flash array can by using about 10% of the total capacity and putting that on top of the flash. After Maxa is installed on every server, we treat every node, every server in the cluster as one big pool of resources. So whether you have 3 servers or 35 servers running, all the resources within those servers are presented as one big pool that your IT admin can then go and start carving out based on their requirements for their VM. I mentioned this before. You have different varieties of networking that you could be running. Maxa, so there needs to be some sort of a hypervisor installation in the picture as well, and if you have a choice, or your customers have a choice between any of the VMware or any of the KVM distributions. So Red Hat, Canonical, pick your VMware, pick your KVM, and Maxa supports it. We also have full integration into OpenStack. And then, because Maxa is so removed from the hardware, you have your choice of whatever storage device you want to use. You want to use all Spinning, you want to use all SSDs, you want to put in there NVMe SSDs. All those are possibilities with Maxa. If you want to have, if all of a sudden the firmwares get upgraded within the drives, it doesn't matter to us. We're able to recognize every piece of hardware that you are feeding up to into Maxa. So there are many different use cases where this is applicable, and we see the use cases actually increasing every day. So I didn't put everything on here, but as I mentioned before, any customer or any use case that put a lot of emphasis on the speed and the scalability of the virtualization environment is an ideal customer for this solution. So if you're hearing any of your customers say things like, hey, I'm building or increasing my virtualization environment, I'm thinking of purchasing this SAN, I challenge you to introduce them into Hyperconverged, because clearly they haven't heard about the Hyperconverged. And I can guarantee you that you can turn that into a much larger server sale with much higher margins really quickly. Or call us and we can help you. So here are a couple of Intel use cases. This is actually, the full reports are available on Intel site. The links are below. You can also find them on Maxta resources page, or just contact us directly. We are happy to send you those reports. Intel use Maxa software, as well as for VDI, they use a third-party benchmarking called Login VSI to achieve these results. So what I want to point out here is the fact that you really are not losing anything on performance. You're actually gaining performance, but at the same time, you're not overcompensating by having to really beef up your servers. I mean, as you notice, this is 4-node cluster. That means 144 cores, 16 terabytes, 1.6 cache, and 768 gig of memory are all spread across 4 nodes. So each node is really not that expensive. It is not that beefed up. And with that, we're still able to achieve pretty amazing results, right? We're able to spin up 456 desktops in 4 minutes. From 4 nodes, you can scale to thousands. So it is a linear scalability model. So the more nodes you put into the cluster, it just scales up linearly with how many desktops you can run and how fast you can run them. If we went ahead and purposely failed 100 desktops to see how fast we can recover them, and that was under 8 minutes, and the entire time we're able to recognize about 995 milliseconds of latency. So this was a very popular use case that we put together, and then we decided to do something similar for Exchange, in which case we used even less resources. You actually, I think we use about 6-core CPUs in each server, a lot less memory as well. And in this case, we ran just the standard JetStress utility, which is just an industry standard utility for Exchange. So what you're seeing here is we're running, so we decided to run JetStress for 24 hours to make sure that we can get to this transactions, means how many users. So that was 3,646 users. We decided that the user should be average, which means it's about 200 emails per day. That seems to be an average user in this world today. And with that, we were able to get 5 milliseconds of latency, of write latency, and 10 milliseconds of read latency, which results directly in the end user experience, so basically how fast the system actually reacts to them. And all of this was really meant for the IT admins as a cookbook to see how do we put together a perfect Exchange environment. So this particular configuration results in 10,000 users per system. So if you are an IT admin, or if you're talking to customers who are thinking of switching to Hyperconverged for their Exchange environment, this will be a very useful tool to help them navigate what their configuration should look like, depending on what their requirements are. Besides VDI and Exchange, the other use cases that we're seeing is disaster recovery is another popular use case that is coming up, as well as test and development, test and dev, and really any other business application like your ERP systems or anything else you could be running in your office. Excuse me, sip of water. Compared to the world out there and what the competition is doing, the Maxta Lenovo product, as you can see here, is not only on par with the competition, but it is actually better in many ways. First of all, you do have the single vendor. So even though we're two different companies, the single vendor here is Synnex, who will put everything together. They have SKUs ready to go. They can make it custom. They can make it ready. And they can ship it, drop ship it to your customer, ship it to you, whatever your preference with Synnex is. We are VMware centric. Everything is managed on a VM basis. We have the centralized management. We have all the enterprise support, and I've mentioned that before. But more importantly, it is so much easier to scale up or scale out with this model because we're not shoving an appliance down. We're not shoving an appliance down your throat. What we're telling you is you have the flexibility of picking any configuration within this Lenovo server and Maxta license that will match that configuration. And even after the initial sale, you can go back, and if your customer needs to increase memory or swap for larger drives or whatever they need to do to that server, Maxta license will accommodate that. Because of that decoupled hardware and software, you have so much more flexibility that you can offer to your customers, while other appliance guys, they can't. In order for you to scale an appliance, you have to go add another appliance. You cannot scale on component levels at all. So with that, I'll throw this over to Don, who can tell you a little bit more about the Lenovo servers and why we picked them to launch this appliance.
Thanks, Delia. Yeah, thanks, folks. You know, the reason that we're talking to you about this subject today is related to helping you achieve a lower cost threshold for your customers' IT infrastructure, to help you, you know, bend down the cost curve of IT for your customers. And Delia just went through, you know, the market and what it was doing in terms of the software and how it can be a cost saver for your customers in terms of not only acquisition price, but the ease of deployment. ThinkServer is the good match for this type of discussion about bending down the cost curve, because with the ThinkServer product, you have the ability to configure it exactly the way your customers want. You can configure what they want and then enable them not to pay for things they don't need. So as you already know, the ThinkServer Gen 5 products, and specifically here we're talking about the RD550 and 650, are the most configurable 2P 1 and 2U servers on the market. So, for example, our Any Bay technology allows you to, in select drive bays, not only use hard drives or solid-state drives, but you could also use the new NVMe PCIe drives for particular RAID arrays and matching them to their workloads. The Any Fabric technology, for example, as you know, we don't solder down Ethernet ports or any type of connectivity ports on these ThinkServers because they may not be the type of connectivity your customers want. We have the Any Fabric technology that allows you to customize exactly what they want. And Any Fabric is a marketing term for a mezzanine card slot, but we make it incredibly simple. You can put in Ethernet, CNA, or fiber channel, exactly what your customers want. And kind of bridging off what Delia was talking about in terms of the Maxta software enabling scale out within the same hardware that you already use, you can also do the same thing with the ThinkServer. If your customer started out when they wanted a 10 gig Ethernet, you could use an Any Fabric 10 gig card, but maybe later they wanted to widen that pipe, and you can simply go in to the back of the ThinkServer and pull out the 10 gig Ethernet and stick in a 40 gig Ethernet card, or maybe they want to go from Ethernet to fiber channel, but you can make those changes without changing the chassis or throwing that away. Our Any RAID technology, same thing. You can not only pick the right RAID that you want, software RAID, hardware RAID, but you can customize it for your customer with the exact amount of cache depending on their performance needs. If they only need a certain level of performance, put a 1 gig cache on it and don't make them pay for something they're not using. But if they need the highest level of performance, you can also put a 2 or 4 gig cache module, which is like NAND, on the RAID card to improve performance. Same thing, it can grow with the customer. If you started with a 1 gig and they need a performance increase, and you think you can do that by increasing the cache on the RAID card, you can simply open the server up, remove the 1 gig cache module from the RAID card, and install a 2 or 4 gig and give them that boost without throwing away what they've already invested in. Next page. And you can see how some of these technologies, Delia, next page.
Yeah, it's taking a moment. There you go.
All right. And you can see how some of these technologies and where they go in the system. The example here on this page is our RD550, which is one of the max deploy configurations that Delia is going to take you through in a second. But it is, the only server in the world today, the only 1U server that can do 12 drives, and you can see all those drives up front, and 5 I/O slots in a 1U server. When you start talking about hyperconvergence and scale out, I mean, really what we're talking about is scale out IT infrastructure here. You need a lot of storage and networking connections within the smallest amount of space possible. And we accomplished that with the ThinkServer RD550. Up in the front, 12 hard drive bays in the front of the server, which is more than you'll find in any other system. When we accomplished that with our unique T-shaped chassis in the front that enabled us to stuff in 12 drives, and those could be the rotating disk or SSDs or the PCIe drives. Our Any RAID card, you can see where it's at. It's slotless RAID, means it doesn't use any of the PCI slots, and it connects directly into the backplane. There's no cable. It just plugs right into the backplane. In the back of the system, in this particular configuration, you can have up to 2 Any Fabric card slots, and then 3 additional PCI slots. So you could put in 5 networking cards into a 1U server. You can't do that with any other server in the world. Next page.
Coming.
And when we get on the subject of saving customers money, we start talking about convergence. Converging server and storage into a single chassis is obviously very compelling from a pricing standpoint and also a ease of scale out. I mean, we've created a platform that's specifically for it called the ThinkServer RD650 Hybrid, and you can see from the picture here, it is unique. No other server, 2U, 2-processor-based server in the world looks like this. You have drive bays on the left that are for flash. They can be for standard SSD or for up to 4 of the NVMe drives. On the right, 9 drive bays, for rotating disk, because you want the lowest cost point in terms of cost per terabyte, which basically gives you a built-in JBOD. And you can even boot to your operating system by 2 solid-state drives that can SATA-based SSD drives that can be inserted into the back of the system. So a converged system that combines the best of flash and rotating disk into a single chassis gives you that best economies of scales for a combination of flash and rotating disk in the same system, and just a perfect built platform for hyperconvergence. Okay. With that, Delia, we'll send it back to you.
Right, so what we actually put together, the 3 of us put together for the channel team, I'll cover the actual product and the programs right now. We are calling it a Lenovo-based Max deploy. And first let's take a look at how it compares price-wise to the main competitors out there, which is the Dell Nutanix Supermicro EvoRail, or really any other EvoRails out there. Funny enough, right before this presentation, the Supermicro had the HP logo on it, but if you read the recent article about it, HP actually dumped their EvoRail product line altogether. So for now, let's just use Supermicro, and yes, the cost is about the same. So we went out there and we decided to understand what the street prices are. These are not MSRP fake prices, they're actual end user street price. And if you look at it for a similar hardware configuration, meaning about the same amount of cores and capacity, and for exactly the same software features, well, almost the same, EvoRail, which is using vSAN, actually does not have some of the data integrity features like SIM provisioning, dedupe, and replication. They are promising to add it at one point, but they don't have today. We do. So for even better features, we're actually almost 50% lower price in the market, with still about 4% more margin for the channel. So we don't have time today to get into the pricing conversations and the margin conversation, but please do contact us, and I can walk you through a pricing model that will show you exactly how you can make up to 45% margins on your server sales simply by selling the Max Deploy Lenovo appliance versus just a server. So product itself from Synnex, what it is a pre-validated and a pre-assembled set of SKUs that are based on your Lenovo top seller servers. So that's another beauty of having software and hardware decoupled, is you can continue to take advantage of your top seller, all the programs and the perks that you have with Synnex and that you have with Lenovo. Top sellers are also heavily stocked, and there's a lot of inventory within Synnex, which means that you have a lot less lead time to get those servers out of the door. In the software, the Maxa software runs on it that, as I mentioned before, just converges compute and storage on those servers. The type of customers, again, I'll say that many, many times, pretty much anybody running a highly virtualized environment is an ideal customer, but the actual verticals where we're seeing a lot of this pickup for Hyperconverged is around finance guys, for example, credit unions, or a lot of insurance companies. MSRPs and service providers is another big vertical for us, mainly because they tend to, the importance on how fast they can get their data centers and add new users is all their business is about. So our infrastructure and the way that we sell our products to them matches exactly how they sell their products to their customers. State, local government, retail are another major verticals for this, for Hyperconverged right now. And again, mainly what these guys are looking for is something that is a simplified environment that they can finally run in their data center, and something that saves them a lot more money. So here are the actual configurations that we have put together. There are part numbers that are within Synix. You can place an order for this part number, and what you will get is the specific configuration. Now, if you need to change the configurations, if you need to change any of the components within the configuration, we can make custom SKUs for you. We can make one-off deals. So it's pretty flexible. The SKUs are put together just for ease of use and communication with you. So keep in mind that a lot of customization is available. And one thing that you can take advantage of is the Lenovo program that helps to A, with the customization of the SKUs itself, but B, even if you fix any of those products, your customers are not just going to buy those. I mean, they're not just going to run them raw. It means they're buying this product in order to run something on top of them, some sort of application. Maybe they have questions on exactly what type of applications need to be run and how to best configure it. Lenovo's got an amazing enterprise solution services team with labs and all kinds of services available that can help you and help your customers to make sure that they have the proper solution running. So the actual program, what it includes is a lot of support for channel partners and a lot of savings for channel partners. So once again, the SKUs are easily orderable, customizable SKUs are available. You are taking advantage of the top seller inventory. We have support and training for channel partners, so please make sure to contact us. We're happy to provide you training on this. And on top of everything, Lenovo's got this great LenovoElites.com registration program where if you register your deals right now, you'll get additional savings of 15% for new customer bonus or just 8% for the deal registration process. So with that, we are going to go ahead and wrap up and go into our Q&A session. I did want to leave you with one last thought of why the three of us really do make the most ideal partner for your hyperconverged move. If you're already there or you're thinking to get there, you do have Maxa, that is your state-of-the-art hyperconverged software-centric product. We've partnered with Lenovo because they have by far the most advanced servers, the most flexible, advanced, and cost-providing servers out there. And Synix is probably one of the better distributors I've ever worked with who provides professional services, installation, and configuration services to their customers, as well as actually helping with this webinar. So I'd like to thank the Synix marketing team for putting this together as well. So we're going to go ahead and go through some of the questions. Again, either raise your hand. We're going to do this for probably another 10 to 15 minutes. For now, I will leave this link up so you can take some of the notes. So quick reminder is this webinar is recorded and will be posted on Maxa resources page that you see right there. The last one says maxa.com/resources. For your contacts, you have your Maxa contacts, which is synix@maxa.com or sales@maxa.com. For Synix, you have your Lenovo ESG@synix.com or Maxa@synix.com. A lot of useful links for Lenovo. There's a deal reg. There's a configurator tool that's available on both Lenovo and Maxa sides, and you see that up there as well. There's a Synix microsite for Lenovo for all the related content. Lenovo updates all the related and latest content on that microsite too. And then there's the, you can also register your deals actually on the Maxa page too. So both of us have a very easy and simple registration program, so pick whatever one works for you. So I'm going to switch over. Oh, also these slides will be put into a PDF and sent to all the partners who have registered today or all the registers today. So a couple of questions I'm going to start pulling from the audience. We have two questions about EvoRail, and I will, from two different people, but I'll go ahead and combine them. So first question is, does a customer need to buy brand new vSphere license keys in order to create a Maxa cluster like they have to with EvoRail? So yes, you do, right? You do have to oftentimes purchase a brand new license key that you cannot use your existing ones. And no, you do not need to do that with Maxa. This is why the EvoRail solution is much higher and a lot more expensive, because you do have to count in all the vSphere licenses. With Maxa, if you have licenses running, as long as there is some sort of a hypervisor running in the cluster, we can go ahead and load on it. It can be new, it can be old, doesn't matter to us at all. So that's another way that we're actually able to provide a lot more cost savings with this model than you would see with the EvoRail solutions or with any other appliances out there. And it's another one is, it seems like this is similar to vSAN. So how is this different from HP EvoRail or any other EvoRails? Well, first of all, there's no such a thing as HP EvoRail again. I think we have it posted on our LinkedIn page. If you just search HP EvoRail, you'll notice a lot of articles saying that the HP actually has dumped that program and many colorful reasons why. And I think I mentioned that before, but I'll mention it again. The vSAN file system is not a mature enterprise file system yet. It doesn't have a lot of the support, and for the past 3 years, they said that they will have the support ready soon, and it's still yet to come. So it doesn't have all the enterprise features. In addition to, each EvoRail is a very rigid configuration. So you cannot change the internal components at all. Once you have one EvoRail, it's exactly like having an appliance, where with Maxa and Lenovo solutions supported by Synix, you can go back and you can actually, like I mentioned, upgrade memory, maybe downgrade memory for whatever reason, swap 2 terabytes with 4 terabyte drives, swap CPUs, have compute-only nodes, have storage-only nodes, add JBoss if you want, really anything you can possibly do to a cluster to make it as precise and as tuned to your customer needs as possible. It's possible with us, and it's not possible with EvoRail or any other appliance out there. Any other questions? Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm going to try to read one more question. I have more than one question, but this particular one is hard to see. The solution is only available for Lenovo equipment, not for System X servers. So yes, it is available for System X servers. So we haven't skewed them up like the LEN SKU that you saw earlier. So we don't have that. We can. It's very simple. It's just maybe a couple hours of work between us and Synix together. But there's nothing preventing you from putting it together. So this is when we talked about you're able to customize your SKUs. You can run it on Sync servers or you can run it on System X. And if we see demand increase for that, we'll go ahead and create a SKU just for you or make it into a general SKU. So go ahead and let us know. Okay, so this is an interesting one. This is a much feistier group than the morning group. I read your recent blogs, and you seem to be starting a war with Nutanix. But how does this Lenovo Max deploy different from the Nutanix box? Okay, I think I just answered that question, but I did want to point out that if you want some fun read more than anything else, if you go onto Maxa blog site, I think it's just maxa.com/blog, we have about 4 blogs that we wrote attacking specifically Nutanix, but really not just saying they're bad, we're better, but really helping customers and readers understand what does it mean when, what does the freedom of choice really mean for customers? I wrote a blog specifically, what does that mean for service providers? So if any of you guys are selling into the cloud or the service provider space, go ahead and read. It's an entertaining piece that just talks about, why service providers are switching into software only, what does it mean for them, what benefits can you achieve with that. And then there are 3 other blogs. One is actually written by our CEO, and he's a very animated, charismatic guy. So it's a fun read. Check it out. But yes, it was a direct hit towards Nutanix. And like I mentioned before, we are not. This is a truly software model on Lenovo servers. This is not a Lenovo appliance, and Maxa is not in the business of making bezels. Another question, and I think this is directed towards SimpliVity. Somebody asked, do you use special hardware for our dedupe? SimpliVity is just an FYI. They do, we don't. They're the only ones that do, by the way. They use a very specific FPGA in order to be able to achieve the deduplication numbers that they promised on their data sheet, which makes it a very not very flexible environment. So basically, that's why you have to buy their appliances that are built on your standard servers. But we don't do it. Our dedupe actually is native within our file system itself. So we have native dedupe and provisioning, replication, all that is built into it. No extra hardware is needed. Another question, are these available under WSCA contract? I have no idea what WSCA contract is. Don, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay, can we see who has this question? Okay, whoever asked this question, we see who you are, and we will check. I assume that this may have something to do with Cynics. In any case, I'll reach out to you right after this. Sorry, no idea what that means. And then one final question is, what kind of KVM distribution do we support? We have more questions, but it's OpenStack and Red Hat and Morantis today. So anything that's running CentOS 07 or 7.0, sorry, we can support that. We have full integration with OpenStack. We have Cinder and Nova drivers for OpenStack, and we have full integration into vSphere. And we have a lot more coming on our roadmap. So watch out for announcements in VMworld for that. Another question, if you register Nutanix with Dell, you cannot register Nutanix directly with Nutanix. Can I register Deal? Yes, I love that question. Let me finish. Can I register Deal with Lenovo Maxta, someone else to get a deal direct? Yes, so yes, you can. We have our registration program, and Lenovo has their registration program. So if you're working with Cynics, and I can introduce you to the right Cynics teams, or you can just send a note to cynics@maxa.com or maxa@cynics.com, Lenovo has their perks that you can take advantage, which is the 15% or the 8%. In addition to that, there is a Maxa registration program that gives you what we call exclusive registered pricing, which is the best price we get out there for the channel partners. And further after that, additional spas are available. So Maxa registration program, I'm going to go ahead and actually click back so you see those links. So you can register the deals. You don't have to. We do communicate with each other. So if you registered with one, the other one would know. But if you want to put in 5 seconds extra work, you can probably gain a lot more margin out of the deal. Next question, are marketing materials for this mailing available? Yes. So actually, I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry. So if you look at your handout, if you're looking at your webinar screen itself, there should be 5 handouts for this that you can download right now. To all registered attendees, we will be sending those 5 out together with the PDF version of these slides. So you will have that available. And if there's anything else you want, again, check out the Maxa resources page and the Lenovo Cynics microsite, or just send us a note, and we're happy to put together a specific marketing material package for you. Let me check if there's anything else. Any more questions? One more question. Are there texts available to assist if I have a potential customer? Oh, I have a sea of texts available for you if you have a potential customer. Yeah, so I mentioned that earlier, that we do have channel support and channel training ready to go. So anything from it's a one-off deal, send us an email, we'll talk to you, to we'll come in and train the whole team. We are ready, us Cynics and Lenovo are ready to train you guys and help you out. I assume most of the questions, because you're probably more familiar with the Lenovo product and least familiar with the Maxa product, are probably going to be around the Maxa software. So go ahead and reach out to us directly. But if it is about the joint solution or Lenovo product, we'll put you in touch with the right Lenovo guys as well. But yeah, sending an email to any of these aliases will get you a quick response, and we'll get you going. And while I'm on this topic as well, as Peter's pulling up maybe any other question that we have, if any of you are hands-on geeks and actually want to test this and see what it looks like and feels like, again, during this session I didn't have time to go through the demo or showed you guys the actual GUI, we can do one of two things. We could either provide you with sample license keys if you guys have 3 servers laying around, and send you the installation guides and send you all kinds of things for you to be able to stand up your own Maxa cluster and run with it for 60, 90 days, however long you want. Or we can assign you a time in our lab. So if you don't have 3 servers laying around, we can provide you time in our lab for a day or 2 or 3, however long you want, and have you just play around with Maxa on our servers, on Lenovo servers. Thank you, Don, for those servers. Is that it? Okay, I think that was our last question. If anything else, let us know. If not, Don, if you have any other comments, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll close the session and send the links out. Oh, by the way, the winner of the prize will be announced before the end of the day, so look out for your emails.